getting going, and oh, she's ready too.
I'd like to call the City Council meeting of the City of San Bruno for February 9th, 2010 to order, please. Roll call, please.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Here.
Vice Mayor Medina.
Here.
Mayor Ruane.
Here.
Councilmember Ibarra.
Here.
Councilmember Salazar.
Here.
Thank you. Item number 3, we have a few announcements. The first one is a redevelopment meeting will follow tonight's City Council meeting. And the second is there will be a study session tomorrow evening regarding the budget here at the Senior Center at 6 p.m. All are welcome to attend, and it will be broadcast live on San Bruno Cable TV. We do have some presentations this evening, and their presentation people are coming in right now. We are pleased to welcome this evening Boy Scout Troop number 72 and Cub Pack 290. When they all get in here, I would like to ask them to please lead us in the pledge. Please rise.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. I do have a special proclamation made out to the Boy Scouts of America for their 100th anniversary, and I'd like to present that to Mr. Henry White. Let me read it first. City Council of the City of San Bruno, State of California, whereas the Boy Scouts of America was founded on February 8, 1910 by William D. Boyce and chartered by Congress in 1916. And whereas the Boy Scouts of America is the nation's largest youth organization and is a partner with over 100,000 other organizations. And whereas the mission of the Boy Scouts of America is to prepare young people to make ethical and moral choices over their lifetimes by instilling in them the values of the Scout oath and law. And whereas through scouting, more than 1.5 million adults now give dedicated volunteer service to 4.5 million boys and young adults who are an important contribution to our nation's future. And whereas the Pacific Skyline Council delivers scouting programs that develop character, citizenship, fitness, and leadership skills to youth in the San Mateo and Santa Clara counties, therefore, I, Jim Ruane, Mayor of the City of San Bruno, do hereby proclaim the month of February 2010 as Boy Scouts of America 100th Anniversary Celebration in recognition of past achievements and promise for the future of our community and our nation.
What a pleasure. Scouts shake with the left hand.
They do. Okay.
The one closest to our heart.
All right. Sounds good.
It's on purpose that we do it that way, not just strange. So thank you so very much.
Thank you.
And I'd be honored to do that. One of the other interesting things for long numbers is Scout Troop 72 has been active in San Bruno since 1919. So we are 90 years old as a troop, one of the oldest in the area, an initial offshoot of the original troop of San Francisco, which started in 1916. We've been in continuous service since then, at small numbers at times. That's what Scouts do, because it's from Boy Scouts is from 11 to 18. We are most honored to receive this on behalf of Boy Scouts of America. And you can see lots of Cub Scouts that will be future Boy Scouts as well. Thank you very, very much.
Good. Congratulations on behalf of the council. Councilwoman O'Connell.
I'm particularly proud of both the Cub Scouts and the Troop 72 that are here tonight. They've supported San Bruno in many volunteer things. They've planted trees, they've cleaned up trash during Operation Clean Sweep, and they're a really good example of what the youth in San Bruno can do. So I particularly want to thank you. And I know my father, who was associated with the Boy Scout Troop 72 for a long time now, almost over 45 years, would love to have been here tonight, but he was not able to. But he sends you his heartfelt and sincere hopes for your future. So, congratulations.
Councilmember Ibarra.
Yes, through the chair, I'm proud to say that I was a member of Cub Scout Pack 78 in Upper San Bruno, then moved to South San Francisco to Troops 183 when Boy Scouts was celebrating its 60th anniversary. So I believe that Boy Scouts has come a long way, and I believe that this 100th anniversary is at a very good time to recognize this great program, and I congratulate you all, Scouts and parents and leaders, for what you do. Thank you very much.
Once again, on behalf of the entire city of San Bruno, have a wonderful year. Thank you. Item number 5 is review of the agenda. There will not be a closed session this evening. The city attorney has notified us it's not necessary. And number 2, I would like to move item number 11, which is report of commissions, boards, and committees, up after item number 8, public hearings. Any other changes? Okay. Item number 6, approval of the minutes. Any corrections, omissions? Seeing none, they'll stand approved. Consent calendar. All items are considered routine or implemented earlier council action and may be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion unless requested by a council member, citizen, or staff. Action.
Through the chair, I'd like to pull item C, please.
Any action on A and B?
Move to approve A and B.
Second?
Motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Item C, adopt a resolution amending the city classification plan by adopting position descriptions for police commander, police sergeant, police officer, police communications and records supervisor, public safety dispatcher 1 and 2, police clerk 1 and 2, and community service officer 1 and 2 positions. Vice Mayor Medina.
Thank you. What I had noticed was under special requirements, all the positions, with the exception of police clerk, have a must possess or be able to obtain by time of hire and maintain a valid driver's license, which is fine. Under the police commander, there's additional verbiage that says, and a satisfactory driving record. Under police sergeant, there is no language to that effect. Police officer, satisfactory. Police communications record supervisor, satisfactory. Public safety dispatcher and community service officer 3 states it's good. So my question here is, A, I believe we should be consistent, and there should have to be a either satisfactory or good driving record for all positions that have to deal with the driving. I also would recommend that it either be satisfactory or good, but not one for, some for one and one for the others. But what brings me to my question is, when we say satisfactory, what is satisfactory? How are you measuring what satisfactory and good is? You could tell me that I have 3 points on my record, and that's satisfactory because it hasn't been suspended yet. Well, to me, that's not okay. It should be a good driving record, especially if they're out on the streets and performing those tasks, and that's part of their job. So that's my question on that item.
Comments from staff?
Do you want to answer that as part of the background process?
Yeah.
Chief Telford?
Vice Mayor Medina, as you know, first of all, to answer your question, the satisfactory driver's license, it should be first a valid driver's license. Any position that is hired at the police department goes through a thorough background investigation, including a review of a driving history. To answer your question, what would be satisfactory? A driving record that exhibits the candidate has the proper regard for the laws, including the vehicle code. If there was a driving history that would exhibit a disregard, then that would be disqualified from the background process.
Okay? My second point was that we have one that has nothing to it, police sergeant. We have two that say good, and we have three that say satisfactory. I'm suggesting that we ought to have consistency and continuity with the positions and not have differences.
We can make it consistent and add that to the other job description.
May I ask which way you think we consistently should be going? Is it satisfactory or is it good?
No adjectives.
It would be satisfactory.
Okay. You're the professionals. I just, to me, satisfactory means a lot. To me, good elevates the condition to a higher degree. So that's my 2 cents.
What I would recommend is that we change it to a valid driver's license. And as I earlier, possession of a valid California driver's license. And during the background process, again, we would review that driving history. What would be not a suitable driving history would be something with excessive violations or excessive collisions.
So now you're telling me we want to withdraw and satisfactory? A satisfactory driving record?
Satisfactory is fine. Maintaining a valid driver's license would be suitable as well.
Through Chair, I'm satisfied with valid because I'm not satisfied with the term satisfactory or good. I don't know what that means. I mean, I may think that I'm good, but I may have a history of, of a couple of violations over a course of time. What is satisfactory and what is good? So I'm fine with the judgment of saying at least valid, and then make a judgment based on a closer attention to the record.
Through the chair, does this need to go back to the personnel board for their review since this is changing this, or is this can just this be done at this level?
Your action is final. You've received a recommendation from the personnel board. Unless you so direct, there is no requirement that it would return to the personnel board. And in my view, this would be a relatively minor additional item for the job descriptions. So that would be subject to your direction.
Yeah, I don't want to belabor this, but again, I hear what Councilman Ibarra is saying, but again, it needs to be consistent, so we're trying to clean that up by eliminating the language altogether, but it's in there for every position, I think, for a reason. Personnel board reviewed it as such, it's gone through the union, it's gone through staff, and so now we want to eliminate it totally, even though, as it was stated, there is no really measuring stick for what is satisfactory, what is good. I know what valid means, and it's not suspended. That's what valid means to me. You could be on the cusp of having it suspended, but if it's valid, then it's okay.
Valid is what the Department of Motor Vehicles classifies your license, and the Department of Motor Vehicles does count citations, collisions, and has a point system that they determine when a certain number of points are reached, that license is suspended. So again, I would just recommend that valid is the bare minimal requirement, and it gives a consistent language throughout the job descriptions.
Well, I'm still having concerns with it. I will go with the chief's suggestion at this time. This is something that I like to have reviewed. I've often brought this up about a consistency and continuity in the positions within the city that have to do driving, and what levels that the expectations must be maintained in order for them to be in good standings and not a liability. So you've heard my comments, but with that I'll go ahead and move to approve item C. Oh, thank you. It was pointed out to me with the changes so that we're consistent, but also with the understanding to have this looked at.
There's a motion to move item C with the changes as mentioned. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion second on the floor on the question. Any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, C is approved. Item number 8, public hearings. We have no public hearings this evening, and we're going to move item 11 up, which is the report of commissions, boards, and committees. Receive the annual report from the Community Preparedness Committee, and it will be given by Ron Lepetis. And George Bonus.
And Dina.
Dina. And
It's better in numbers.
yes.
I've got lots of backup. That's what it means being prepared.
Very good.
Okay, so my presentation is up. So, Mr. Mayor and council members, I'd like to present the report for the for the San Bruno Community Preparedness Committee. First of all, our mission statement. The San Bruno Preparedness Committee promotes emergency preparedness planning and education to prepare residents to mitigate the potential consequences of natural and man-made disasters. We're going to show this is actually a 2-year report. So this is our 2009 set of members, and following that is our 2010 set of members. This presentation will be available, so I really don't want to belabor reading every word that's on the slides. Next slide, please. So with in terms of our past accomplishments, we worked very closely with the Crime Prevention Committee. We've coordinated with them to train neighborhood watch groups. We've conducted personal preparedness training, and we've completed training of our residential care facility. That was a project to ensure that the residential care facilities did have appropriate training and appropriate materials for their residents and their staffs. This is being utilized as a model by the Ombudsman Services of San Mateo County, so we're very proud of that. We also staff information booths at local and county events, and we participate with the Amateur Radio Volunteers Club, for volunteers in their meetings as well. Some recent accomplishments here, you can see me guarding the automated teller machine there with my life. This is Police Recognition Day that was held at Tanforan on May 16th. We were also at the 5th annual San Mateo County Preparedness Day, which was held at South City High School. We've also updated the Radio Volunteers brochure. The brochure is used as an outreach to enlist the help of more amateur radio operators in the preparedness of the city of San Bruno. And our 2010 goals, we are going to be working to develop and implement a CERT program within the city of San Bruno. We are going to collaborate with the Crime Prevention Committee to coordinate additional training with neighborhood watch groups. Something a little new this year is assisting schools in enhancing their emergency preparedness efforts, including the use of amateur radios for communications if the infrastructure is out. We're going to staff information booths at local and county events again, and we're working to take the preparedness messages that are run as public service announcements on cable TV. We're going to work to translate those into Spanish because of the large Latino population in our city. And I'm here to accept questions if you have questions.
Through the chair, I was very intrigued to see that you did a plan for the residential care home facilities. Is there a document for that?
That was actually done before my time on the board, and I would like to turn it over to Dina Gunning to address that.
Actually, there is. We do have the track record. We accomplished, there's probably about 32, and that might not be the accurate number currently, but we had at the time 32 residential care facilities within the city. 15 of those participated in the program and received a certificate from the Community Preparedness Committee for finishing the program, which included on-site visits and technical assistance for their staff and for making sure that they had all their supplies on hand to be self-sufficient for at least 1 week.
So the family members or the family members who have a loved one at one of these facilities know that or have some assurance that the program's in place.
Yes, that the facility that their loved ones are at are indeed prepared for an emergency, have an evacuation plan, and have a backup plan for their supplies, their medications. We had a couple of the residential care facilities within the city that went above and beyond, and that is the reason you see now that we are the model for the Ombudsman Program services. They just hired an emergency planner this last year and is using our community preparedness project model for the entire county now, which is fantastic. And the reason being, she was visiting one of the care facilities and saw our certificate on the wall.
So my next question is going to be on the other extreme would be like daycare, residential daycare. Are there similar programs in place?
For seniors or for children?
For children.
Actually, there is. Through the Child Care Coordinating Council, not directly through the city, there has been developed disaster preparedness series, actually, that I have developed for the Child Care Coordinating Council of San Mateo County. We've held about 6 sessions and probably trained over 200 child care providers in the county, some of which are in San Bruno. We could also give you a breakdown of that list as well. It's an ongoing program that, of course, always looking for funding, but it's become a very popular program. And as most of us know that have been in this line for a long time, it used to be hard to get 5 people in a room to discuss emergency preparedness. That particular session has filled up with 50 every time we've ran it.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions? Irene?
I'd just like to congratulate you. Getting people to come to any kind of sessions and training that has to do with emergency preparedness it's just awesome that you can get that many people there. I applaud all your efforts, and I wish we could have more everybody, the Boy Scouts, the Girl Scouts, everybody, churches, everyone that has gatherings of people have that kind of training.
Well, your segue, Irene, is perfect.
I try.
This year was the second year that we have held the Great California Shakeout, and we really participated and focused up in Northern California this year. This next year, I actually have the date. It's October 21st, 2010 at 10:21 a.m. So we can all mark our calendars to participate in the Great California Shakeout again. It's a fantastic tool. You can go to shakeout.org to register either your homes or your businesses. Probably something else we should have added to this because we did participate as Community Preparedness Committee and registered, as well as a lot of our individual residents in the city. So it would be a great focal point for us and something to concentrate on for this next year. But we're really excited about getting the CERT program up and running because as you may or may not know, we are the last city in the county that does not have a CERT team. Yet we're one of the longest standing committees in the county. So we're pretty excited to get that rolling.
Fantastic.
With your support, of course.
Thank you very much.
You'll have it.
Great.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Thanks again for all you do as a committee. All of the committees and boards and commissions in the city put in so much volunteer time, and we really appreciate it, especially when, God forbid, there's some type of a disaster when we really need all your preparation in place. So thank you very, very much.
Okay, well, again, thank you very much for all of your support.
Good job, guys.
Great. Next item is item number 9, public comment on items not on the agenda. It is the council's policy to refer matters raised in this forum to staff for investigation and or action where appropriate. The Brown Act prohibits the council from discussing or acting upon any matter not agendized pursuant to state law. Would anyone like to speak to the council public comment items not on the agenda? All right, seeing none, we'll go right to conduct of business, item number 10. First is item A, adopt a resolution amending the 2009-10 Capital Improvement Program, adding the Catalpa tot lot and basketball court improvements and appropriating a project budget of $50,000. Staff, please.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. Approximately 5 years ago, the last piece of the play equipment at Catalpa tot lot were removed due to safety issues. 2 years ago, the Parks and Recreation Commission held public discussions regarding replacement of the equipment. Based on some of the neighbors' discussion and concerns, the Commission recommended to take no immediate action at that time, and the lot has remained empty since. In the past year, many of the neighbors have approached the Commission requesting the return of the lot to a playground. After conducting several public meetings and exploring many options, the Commission is recommending restoring the lot to a tot lot. At the joint City Council Commission meeting in September, the City Council agreed that improvements to the site were needed and asked the Commission to develop a layout similar to the other small neighborhood parks in the city. Before you deny it is a layout for the park. The design considers the constraints of the size of the site, the noise levels, as well as the PG&E gas main that runs through the lot. It includes a big climbing toy, some smaller pieces of equipment, a tot swing, park benches, and garbage recycling station. The plan also includes the repaving of the basketball court across the street. The court surface is approximately 30 years old and was scheduled for repaving in 1999, but not completed. Repaving of the court is needed for both safety and aesthetics. The cost of the project is estimated at $43,000. With a 10% project contingency, the total is approximately $47,000. The Commission's recommendation is that the park and lieu fees be appropriated for the project. If approved, the playground work will be handled through an extension of the playground contract with Game Time, the manufacturer that renovated the city's other playgrounds in the past 2 years. Staff anticipates being able to complete construction by the end of the summer. The basketball paving work will be handled through a separate bid process and therefore may be on a slightly different schedule. And I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, any questions of staff?
Through the chair, I don't recall, you said that it was, the previous proposal was $97,000. Was that overdoing the site or something, or?
Yeah, that was considerably more equipment than normal. We had a design that included as much equipment as we could put in, still staying off of the gas line. This is more in keeping with the other playgrounds, where there's a big piece of equipment, a swing set, and a couple of small pieces. And we have had, the last public meeting we had, the Park and Rec Commission's committee did meet with several of the neighbors. The neighbors did help in the design of this equipment. They removed the roof off of the big toy. They changed to some of the small horses, although I'm supposed to say horsies for the proper term according to the committee. They've asked for some earth tones in the colors, so there was a lot of input by both the residents and by the commissioners.
And they were satisfied?
Yes.
Okay.
Any other questions, comments, action?
Through the chair, I would like to adopt the resolution and get this thing on the road.
Councilmember Ibarra.
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Medina.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye. We're really looking forward to this. It's a long time coming.
Through the chair.
Thank you for
and,
your patience. Thank you for your patience.
Mayor Franzella? I mean, Mayor.
He's not here tonight. Ken.
But I mean,
He's
I was going to ask in the interest of former Mayor Franzella, because I know he spearheaded trying to get this moving along quick. Since you're not going out to bid, you were going to still use the same company. Have you explained to the neighborhood how long this is going to take, and what schedule to anticipate now?
We have, and I think they feel very comfortable with it.
Can you want to share that? I didn't hear.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Valentine's Day or something?
Typically, if there's a playground renovation, you wouldn't want to start in the springtime as people are using it. In this case, the lot is empty, so we can begin work much sooner. And we would hope to have it up and running and having kids playing out there in the summer.
Thank you. Great.
This year's summer.
This year's summer.
Okay, good.
Summer
Just wanted to-
2010.
You just for
Okay.
the record.
All right.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Should have a ribbon cutting.
Item B, adopt a resolution approving second quarter budget amendment for the 2009-10 general fund, special revenue funds, enterprise funds, and capital improvement program budget. Mr. O'Leary.
Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, the City Council authorizes every expenditure that is made by the city. In approving the budget in June, the City Council adopts a resolution that approves appropriating expenditures in all the funds and in all departments. Periodically during the course of the year, because of changes in scope of work or new expenditures that need to be made, the council takes actions that results in a need to amend the budget. And I would remind the council that the budget itself is really being prepared and approved months before expenditures might actually take place. So things do change a little bit from what is appropriated at the beginning of the year. In this instance, for this action by the City Council, there are 7 items that we're requesting changes in appropriations for either expenditures or transfers of funds. They're detailed in the staff report for you. Each of these items, really except one, has been by the City Council over the last number of months. The one item that was not before the Council was replacement of 2 thermal imaging cameras for the fire department. This was done on somewhat of an emergency basis, to the extent that the department has 2 of these thermal imaging cameras for safety purposes as part of their operation. One of the 2 had not been functioning for a period of time, and the second one was periodically working and periodically not working. The department became aware of a bid by another agency that offered an absolutely significant reduction from the typical price of these units. The department had anticipated including these as an equipment reserve replacement next year in next year's budget, but because of the price and because of the condition of the unit, city manager authorized the immediate replacement and use of the bid from this other agency in order to buy the equipment now. Again, the other items have been reviewed by the council, and I'd be glad to answer any questions that the council has at this time about them.
Any questions of staff? Any action?
Through the chair, I'll adopt the resolution for approval.
Councilmember Ibera.
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Medina.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye. Item C, receive report on effort to secure federal funding for street maintenance and rehabilitation project and adopt a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a contract with Harris and Associates Incorporated for engineering and design services in an amount not to exceed $77,460. Klara?
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and Council members. I am here to provide you with a report on possible federal funding for the street rehabilitation program, and to ask your approval for the city manager to execute a consultant contract with Harris and Associates. The federal government is working on development and approval of a so-called stimulus phase 2 federal funding for including infrastructure improvements. This is not a certainty, but based on the possibility that this stimulus funding will become available, MTC made the decision to issue a call for project for all of the agencies in the region to be able to meet the almost impossible requirement which will be included in this bill if this federal funding will become available. And that almost impossible requirement includes to have this project under contract by May 28th of May, which considering the very stringent federal requirement for any federal funding, having environmental clearance and eligibility clearance for those projects is on very tight schedule. To meet and to position the city in a strategic position to be able to take advantage of this federal funding, knowing the prior council direction to the city manager and the city manager direction to all of the department to aggressively seek any possible funding for so huge unmet transportation need for the city. The city hired and already asked Harris and Associates to help us with the development of this project and to work on our behalf with Caltrain for eligibility and environmental clearance for this project. And the city was able in 4 days, in essence, to submit the application for this project. But you have before you, you have a map showing all of the projects which were included in our application. And this list of projects represent, in essence, all of the federal funding eligible streets for in San Bruno, for which made any practical sense to have any rehabilitation treatment. The total cost estimated at this time is $2.1 million for the overlay treatments and the slurry seal for those roads in San Bruno. Not knowing how much available funding will become available, it was our strategic intent to include a broader range of projects, and depending how much funding will become available, then the list of projects can be scaled back accordingly. Is based on CCAG decisions so far. If this federal funding will become available, then the funding will be divided using Measure A formula between the agencies. And the biggest agencies will receive the federal funds, including San Bruno. And then those agencies, the smaller agencies who will not benefit from this time for these federal funds, then they will be eligible for the next phase of federal funding when will become available. If federal funding will not become available, then this work product can be used for future rehabilitation projects using other transportation-related funding like Measure A or gas tax allocation in future years. And this will not be a wasted effort, but the work product will be used other than certain portion of the project, like the environmental clearance or eligibility clearance, which in case of other type of funding will be used for this project, that really would not be necessary. And the total cost, including the professional engineering services, which is estimated for $77,000, plus the material testing and step time, the estimated overall project cost would be $2.4 million. With this update and my request and my recommendation for you to approve for the city manager to execute the consultant contract with Harris Associate, I am available for any question what you might have.
Any questions of staff?
Through the chair, very quickly, just for those listening and for them to have all of us to have a better understanding. A lot of folks would ask, how are the streets determined? Versus a lot of folks live someplace and say, my street's horrible. It needs to be first. But how are we determining what street on the list so that the folks can better understand?
In this case, for phase one, for phase one, the assessment was made based on priorities. For this phase two, in essence, all of the eligible streets are included in this package, except some of the section of the streets which really made no sense to have any treatment, that they had higher than 90 PCI, that really made no sense to have any treatment. Those segments were not included, but all San Bruno has certain streets on federal system, and only just those streets are eligible for federal funding. And if for some reason, I did not mention this before, if the federal funding will not become available, then this list of projects will not necessarily become the list of projects for a normal rehabilitation program for the city. But those, at that time, those streets will be reprioritized, including the other streets, regardless of the limitation of the funding, and will be a different priority at that time versus what I am presenting you today.
City Manager.
If I could add a simple clarification. The director referenced priorities. Those priorities are developed based on an analytical evaluation of every street segment within the community and compilation of their condition in a database that is monitored and maintained. So where I may look at a street and I think maybe that's not in good condition, in fact, it might be in better condition than another similarly situated street segment. And so it is in that manner that we identify the priorities, and in this particular case, as the director identified, only federally eligible streets can be considered for this particular funding. So when we go out with a neighborhood streets rehabilitation program or something else, if this funding is not awarded, we would again assess priorities based on the condition index and the streets that are eligible for the certain type of funding that we have available.
Through the chair.
Irene.
Can you clarify one more step? What makes a street federally eligible?
They are on the federal system. Many years ago was certain streets in each agency were included in the federal system. Mainly at that time, the intent was to include major arterials, the highest ADT, the collector type of streets, which basically had a major or a higher transportation importance. Those were included on a so-called federal system, and only just those, not neighborhood street, but more those important arterial and collector type of streets were included on federal system. Okay. Now, if you are looking at all of these streets right now, does not necessarily make sense everything what is on this list, and I know exactly what you are thinking about that, but doesn't change the fact that that's how it is right now on that system. And that's why it's only just these streets are eligible.
Okay, ma'am. Does that list get reviewed periodically? And if it does, is there?
And this issue was discussed with the city manager, and it's not a periodical review, but it's a process how you can make those changes. But it's a very time-consuming and complicated process. But certainly one thing what will be worthwhile for the city to take on for the long term. But certainly that takes sometimes years to really be able to adjust the system information. And for the purpose of this project, really just wasn't feasible.
Okay. Thank you. That makes it much clearer.
Sure. Go ahead.
Mr. Ibarra. Mr. Salazar.
I wanted a little clarification in terms of the feasibility of having either our existing or staff engineers redeployed from existing projects to do this, or to enhance their skill set to maybe take on more of the professional engineering services that are outlined here.
This is an ongoing process in our department to make sure before even the department made the decision to really seek outside support was a internal process to make that determination if it was feasible for us internally to take on this additional task. Engineering division has a resource allocation plan, which basically assigned based on the commitments made by the department in our CIP for certain deadline and delivery for those projects, and makes assessment without major impact to already prior commitments if this additional task was feasible for us to perform. And was our determination that without major impact on already ongoing project wasn't possible internally to take this additional task on. And that's why the department sought outside help. Even in this case, we'll be a internal project manager, and this project is assigned to one of the associate engineer, and he will have some kind of high level of project management, but his time is very limited, and this consultant really have to help him to make this to happen. This required, how you can see, a very labor-intensive commitment to really make sure that in this very short time, the city will have all of the approval needed from Caltrain.
If I could, I'd just like to mention that, I mean, this is, as being on the Surface Infrastructure Committee with the Vice Mayor, this must be exciting, because we're taking care of nearly 7 miles of road work, of which, I mean, it's my understanding that we should probably we need maybe another $20 million just to get some of our roads up to par. So, and when I look at the list of the streets that are going to get some attention if we get this grant, you know, there's some pretty well-traveled streets. So I think the residents are going to appreciate it, and
thank you.
It's a big chunk. I know we still got a ways to go, but it's still a big chunk.
I really appreciate your comment. It's our intent to come back to the full committee with the recommendation of the payment management study, which was just finalized a few months ago. But just for your general information, their recommendation to maintain the existing payment conditioning index, the city would need to invest at least on yearly basis $3.5 million.
Yeah, I mean, it's just an unending challenge.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? This does call for introduction of a resolution.
I'll introduce the resolution.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Councilmember Ibarra.
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Medina.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye. 10D, adopt a resolution supporting the Taxpayer Public Safety and Transportation Protection Act of 2010.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council. This item follows up on a discussion and a presentation that you received at your meeting 2 meetings ago, where Seppi Richardson, a representative of the League of California Cities Board of Directors, presented to you information regarding this initiative by the League and the League's overall work program. At that time, as you will recall, Ms. Richardson discussed the importance of an additional legislative effort to secure local revenues and to protect them constitutionally in order to avoid future and continuing raids by the state government to balance its own unfortunate and very large deficit situation. The resolution follows on in additionally a similar initiative in 2004, which was overwhelmingly approved by voters at the general election, and which put in place certain safeguards, again, in the Constitution to avoid local property tax, sales tax, and other revenues from being just straight aboard taken by the state government. Unfortunately, that with the passage of time and the worsening of the state budget situation, it has become clear that that measure did not go far enough to adequately protect both local general fund revenues as well as redevelopment tax increment revenues. As the City Council is aware, we are anticipating that the state will continue to attempt, at least, to take local tax increment revenues from redevelopment agencies both this year and next year as a means of balancing the state's general fund operating budget deficit. This measure would protect in the Constitution not only general fund revenues, special revenues such as vehicle license fee and other dedicated revenues that flow through the state, as well as redevelopment tax increment revenues. The League of California Cities is currently attempting to qualify this initiative for the ballot for November of 2010. And as Seppi Richardson's presentation outlined, there is a very vigorous effort going on right now in that regard. One important piece of that effort is for local city councils to consider approval of the resolution that is in your package and that outlines this city council and this community's general support for the initiative and essentially makes a policy statement that this type of protection is necessary to safeguard the future security and stability of the financial situation in the city of San Bruno.
Any questions?
Through the chair, if there are no questions, I'll introduce a resolution supporting the Taxpayer Public Safety and Transportation Protection Act of 2010.
Vice Mayor Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Ibarra.
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar.
Aye.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye. Item 12, comments from council members. Anything you'd like to bring up this evening? Item 13, we do not have a closed session, but to formalize the cancellation of that closed session, I would like to ask for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
And this meeting will adjourn to the next regular city council meeting on February 23rd, 2010, 7 p.m. right here at the Senior Center. We'll now call the San Bruno Redevelopment Agency to order. Roll call, please.
Agency Member Ibarra.
Aye. Here.
Agency Member Salazar.
Here.
Agency Member O'Connell.
Here.
Vice Chair Medina.
Here.
Chair Ruane.
Here. Approval of the minutes, regular meeting of January 26, 2009.
So approved? Or move to approve?
Okay. Motion second to approve the minutes.
Second.
You brought it up. All right, there we go. All in favor?
Aye.
Consent calendar, there's nothing on the consent calendar. Public hearing, no public hearing this evening. Public comment, items not on the agenda. Anyone like to speak? I don't see anyone speaking. Conduct of business. A, adopt a resolution approving second quarter budget amendment for the 2009-10 San Bruno Redevelopment Agency budget. Mr. O'Leary.
Chair and members of the agency, the reasons for a budget amendment for the redevelopment agency are the same as I outlined for the city and the action the council took earlier on the budget amendment for the city. For the redevelopment agency, for this last quarter, and the budget amendment covers two items. One for additional legal expenses beyond what was originally budgeted because of the actions related to development in South San Francisco that the agency pursued, and then also legal review for several specific planning projects that the agency is undertaking. The second item is actually an operating transfer, and this is transfer from the redevelopment operations into capital, which was an additional $50,000 approved by the council and the agency previously for the capital project for the El Camino Phase 1 medians and pedestrian improvements. Be glad to answer any questions that the agency has.
Questions of staff? Action?
We'll introduce resolution approving the second quarter budget amendment.
Vice Chair Medina.
Aye.
Agency Member Ibarra.
Aye.
Agency Member Salazar.
Aye.
Agency Member O'Connell.
Aye.
Chair Ruane.
Aye. Item 6B, adopt a resolution adopting a 5-year implementation plan for fiscal years 2009-10 through 2013-14, including an updated 10-year affordable housing compliance plan for fiscal years 2004-5 through 2013-14. Staff report, please.
Through the chair. Are you going?
City Attorney.
Yeah.
Does the city attorney like to start, or should I? I'll yield the floor. I'll yield the floor.
As I indicated at the December 8th kickoff meeting for this item, there are 3 council members that have conflict of interest that could prevent your participation this evening. As I indicated last time, the overall reason for that is for broad policy decisions like adopting a redevelopment plan or implementation plan. The real property, which is the subject of the governmental decision, is any property in the boundary of the redevelopment area, and including any property within 500 feet of that. This is pursuant to Regulation 18704.2. And having reviewed the staff report and the implementation plan, this is applicable to at least 3 of you. So it's incumbent upon you at this time to each identify your specific conflict of interest. But then we move to the second issue, which is that you will no longer have a quorum if all 3 of you were to remove yourself from the dais. So we'll use the procedure that we have previously used in making a random draw to determine which council member will remain to provide the quorum and participate fully on the issue as is provided under conflict law. And whoever that person is will sit for all future meetings on this particular matter.
Through the chair. For the record, I am in conflict due to my residence in the redevelopment area, so by where I reside in San Bruno, that makes me ineligible to participate.
And for the record, I'm ineligible for rental property that I own that is in the project area.
And for the record, my property, my primary residence is within 100 feet of the redevelopment area.
So the mayor, you've been presented with
I have the 3 names.
3 names
right here, so
yeah.
everyone can see Rico, Irene, and Michael. And I will fold these names up like this, and I will ask Mr. Bill Goff to come forward and please draw one of these names.
Mix them up.
Shake it up really good. Mix them all up.
This is for early home.
And just to clarify, the name that is drawn will be asked to participate in order that the quorum can be provided.
Got it. Okay. And Irene, you are the lucky one. So Agency Member O'Connell will be the 3rd member. All right, staff report, please.
Thank you and good evening, agency chair and members of the board. I'm going to turn this presentation over to Mark Sullivan to give the beginning, and then I'll cover some of the other aspects of the implementation plan. And we also have our consultants from RSG here who are here to answer any questions. And one comment following our presentation, although I do not see members of the public here, we did notice this as a public hearing, so you should open it up to public comment if anyone would like to speak on it.
Good evening, Honorable Chair and agency members. The purpose of this item is to review and consider for approval the draft 5-year implementation plan for the San Bruno redevelopment project. The agency reviewed the main points of the plan in December previously, and tonight I'm going to discuss the highlights of the plan in my presentation, and Aaron will focus on 2 or 3 projects and next steps in the implementation process. State law requires all redevelopment agencies to adopt a new implementation plan every 5 years, and the plan must identify programs and projects, expenditures and revenues, and describe how they eliminate blight. The programs and projects in this implementation plan are presented in a broad and general way. Since the agency can only undertake projects included within the implementation plan, this provides the agency with the most flexibility. The programs in the implementation plan are basically in 5 categories. There are economic development activities, there's project area beautification, there's transit corridors implementation, infrastructure improvements, and finally affordable housing activities. The plan also demonstrates compliance with affordable housing requirements, and the agency currently has a surplus of affordable housing units, and it is expected that it will continue to have a surplus of affordable housing units throughout the planning period. The agency also exceeds the minimum spending limits on very low-income housing and family housing. As far as expenditures go, approximately $13 million will be available for non-housing projects over the 5-year implementation plan period. About $3.2 million of this has already been allocated through the capital improvement program budget. An additional $8 million will be available for affordable housing activities, and about half of that has already been allocated to the affordable housing subsidies at the crossing and the residential rehabilitation program. The estimated expenditures are based on tax increment projections, which use very conservative assumptions given the uncertain economic times and the potential for declining property values. The tax increment projections assume a 3% growth rate in assessed values, and that's comprised of a 2% inflation rate and 1% for property reassessment. To put this in perspective, the growth rate over the past 5 years within the redevelopment project area was an average of 15% per year, and that was largely due to development at the crossing and the remodel at the shops at Tanforan. The tax increment projections do not include the new project, the SNK project at the crossing, which includes 350 new units, and this is just to sort of reflects our conservative approach in the tax increment projections. Another uncertainty, which Connie spoke about earlier, is the state take of redevelopment funds through the Supplemental Educational Revenue Augmentation Fund, or CERAF. This would mean a loss to the redevelopment agency of approximately $2 million this year and about $400,000 next year. And as you know, the California Redevelopment Association has filed a lawsuit to prevent the state take of redevelopment funds. And we expect that a decision will be made on this before the CERAF payment is due this May. The expenditures that I mentioned earlier assume a pay-as-you-go approach without bonding, and this has been the approach that the agency has taken since the start of the redevelopment plan. However, after reviewing the programs in more detail, the agency may wish to consider bonding in order to deliver projects earlier and to achieve strategic planning objectives. Based on the tax increment projections, the estimated bonding capacity for the agency during this 5-year period is between $22 and $26 million. And that concludes my portion of the presentation. I'll turn it over to Aaron.
Thank you. The primary focus of my portion of the presentation will be on the programs that are found within the tables within the plan. And rather than go through program by program to get your feedback, what I wanted to do is just focus on a few different programs to see the broad range of things that you could do within redevelopment. What's important to note for tonight's meeting is the primary goal is to get this plan approved so we meet all the state requirements. The secondary goal is to set the general direction of the programs found within the redevelopment implementation plan. What the plan does not do is prescribe certain things that we must do. So there's a broad range of things in here, and we could select from the general direction in here as we move forward and implement our redevelopment goals. For instance, in the economic development as well as in the project area beautification sections within the table, there's a broad range of things that we could do. On the minimal aspects, we could just continue with the facade improvement program. The program's been doing well. We've had a number of West Coast Cafe and a number of other facades that have been improved due to this program. However, we could also look to improve this program by lowering the matching amount or looking to actually loan money for tenant improvements. One thing that we see a lot, one barrier to a lot of businesses wanting to move in is required ADA improvements. And many redevelopment agencies help with loans for ADA improvements within buildings. So that's something that we could look to do. On the middle of the road policy would be partnering with nonprofits that really help small businesses start. Another thing that we see at the front counter is a lot of first-time business owners in San Bruno. And while they may be good bakers, for instance, they really don't know how to run a bakery. And there's nonprofit groups such as Renaissance Entrepreneurship Center that sit down with these business owners and go over everything from marketing to how to your books to how you should get your building to look to really have a successful business. And this is one way that redevelopment can set businesses up to be successful within the redevelopment area. On the other end, we could also look for actual business recruitment policies, hiring third parties to really go out there and tell us, hey, what type of businesses do we not have and which type of businesses are looking to expand. We could either do that on an overall basis or we could do it on an individual basis. So for instance, the Hollywood Video site that is now empty because Hollywood Video went out of business. We could work with a third party that could say, certain type of businesses are looking to expand into a 5,000 square foot. Here are the key contact people to go visit, and we could actually have a recruitment effort that way. So those are some ways within economic development that we could use redevelopment. Regarding opportunity sites, once again, there's a wide range of things we could do. One opportunity site the board has brought up numerous times, and we all drive by it, is the bank site on San Bruno Avenue and San Mateo Avenue. You know, on the low end, we could just use redevelopment to market the site. We could create flyers, create contacts within the development community, letting people know what we're doing and why they should develop within San Bruno. We could also use redevelopment to fund infrastructure improvements around the site that will ultimately lower the cost for the developers to go into that site and build. And then what many cities are doing, and that the agency could do, is actual site acquisition, where we purchase the site, and then we partner with an affordable housing developer to help produce affordable housing on the site. In terms of affordable housing production, which is covered within Table 4, there are also numerous things that we could do on the low end, and what we've talked about before is we can have a purchase rehab program where we go out there, we purchase 3-unit, 4-unit buildings, remodel them, and deed restrict them so they're affordable housing for decades. What we could also do is go in a site like the Crossing SNK, which is 100% market right now, and actually buy units within that and deed restrict them. The high end, what we could also do is what we talked about before, is actually go out, purchase sites, and partner with developers to create mixed income housing developments or 100% affordable housing developments. So those are just a few wide range of things that we could do in the tables. What we would recommend is that in the near future we have some type of study session where we really start to drill down and actually name specific programs that we like to move forward within redevelopment and economic development. So we're all here to answer any questions if you have any.
Aaron, a lot of these project descriptions have the word may in them. Are we committed to these things if we say this is what we want to do, or do we have flexibility within that word? Are we committed once we say this is what we want to do, or we change our mind? Or
no, what this does is set up options for you. So this doesn't handcuff you into doing any one specific thing. But what we did do is make sure that there's a wide array of things within here and a wide array of options, because all your options have to be listed within this document, and that's why you see there is a lot of maze and there's a lot of things mentioned within this document. And there are examples of what we could do.
Yes.
I was happy, because I haven't participated in this before, I'm happy to hear how all this works and that we can actually give some concrete direction later on. One of the things that I did not see, and I don't know if it needs to be in here or what, but there's not much said about signage. We've talked about it in the city all sorts of ways and haven't done much concrete about it. And does that need to be in here to be part of redevelopment? I'm thinking particularly of San Bruno Avenue and San Mateo Avenue.
In terms of like city gateway signs or
No.
signs within individual businesses?
No, directional signs, parking this way, shop downtown. I saw about the gateway signs, and I saw about the business, those kinds of things, but we've had people come up and we've all talked about, you don't know there's parking in the back of San Mateo Avenue, or from San Bruno Avenue, you don't know that if you turn left on Huntington, you can get to BART, that kind of thing, or the police station even.
Yeah, that's good direction. What I would say is the program that I think it most fits within is the gateway signage program, because I think it could be something that's done in conjunction with that as you drive into San Bruno, you know where you're going, or as you're driving within San Bruno.
Okay, so does that need to be added here, or
What
is
we
that
could
just
do
part
is
of what?
with your direction, we could add language to it.
Okay.
Wasn't that included in the transit corridor plan?
Is it?
Some dialogue on that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Directional signage? Okay.
Well, I don't know if it specifically says directional
Yeah, I
signage,
didn't
but
see
it
it.
does talk about implementation of the transit corridors.
Okay.
program,
Okay.
Which has a signage program.
Okay.
And also in our
I'm not in that
program,
either.
we support signage, new signage for individual facade improvements.
Yes. Okay, I'm not on the transit corridor one either,
Yeah.
so I didn't know.
It's all new to you.
It's all new to me, yay.
Through the chair, let me just say that I think we're well positioned. I think this is a very exciting time for us, even though there's all these economic issues and things. I think with the plan in place and with a growing redevelopment funds, even though they're being picked at by the state, I think we still have some potential. I like what was said about economic development, but I think we need to be a little more aggressive, a little more proactive. We have a grade separation coming in, and it's going to start construction next year. I am excited or this year, yeah, later this year, or right around the corner. We need, there's going to be a lot of attention to it, and I would think that San Bruno needs to be in the forefront on what sort of ideas we're looking at to enhance that part of the corridor. Another thing that I think we need to be a little more proactive in sponsoring projects. I know that we've got a lot of projects here that we're just going to participate and help fund and things in certain agencies and certain programs. But I think we need, with these residential rehabilitation grants or even nonprofit things, I mean, Habitat for Humanity or something, I think we need to go into the neighborhoods and have a signature project, possibly every year, every other year, and just, try and enhance a neighborhood. I think that'll make a big difference, bring, a lot of PR, and use that money, that growing amount of money that we're setting aside, for a low income or a disabled family or something. I think it's something that we can really hang our hat on. So.
It's great. We've had a redevelopment agency now for about 11 years, I believe, and it was one of the easiest votes I think we ever had with this council. And now we're starting to really grow. So this is very exciting stuff. I look forward to study sessions to fine-tune some of these focus items and really see as long as we can keep the state, their grubby little hands off of our redevelopment funds, this is exciting stuff. So I look forward to some study sessions. Good. Anything else?
I don't know. Do you need more from us for this, or is this?
Well, we need a resolution, but before we do that, this was noticed as a public hearing, so I'd like to open the public hearing and ask anybody in the audience if they'd like to ask some questions. All right.
If I could,
Mr. Ibarra.
Mr. Chair, we have consultants here that really have some expertise, and not to put you on the spot, but if you have some ideas on how you feel about this plan, please offer them at this point.
Yeah, we did put you on the spot.
I don't want to belabor things when they're going so well. No, I think that you're complying with law, most importantly. That's what has to happen here. And I think you have to be careful. You don't want to put so much detail into this kind of thing that then 2 years from now, when you want to change your mind, you have to go back and rewrite this. So it's kind of a waltz to keep it flexible enough, but it gives some general parameters as to where you're headed. The detail has to be there in the housing part of it. That's what this has done. You are in full compliance on all the housing requirements. You are unique in that. There are many agencies that are having difficulties doing that, and so that's something to be very proud of. In terms of the moving ahead, you've got a lot going on. It was apparent in collecting the data for this, and there's some great opportunities. You seem to be in front of them with some of the planning work that you're doing, and so things are lining up. And I agree with you. We all hope for better economic times that will help make the kind of implementation that you're looking at go more smoothly and more quickly.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And this does call for a adoption of a resolution.
You want to close public? You need to.
We'll close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Now,
No.
would someone like to introduce the resolution for adoption?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I would like to introduce the resolution for adoption.
Agency Member Ibarra.
Aye.
Agency Member O'Connell.
Aye.
Chair Ruane.
Aye. This meeting will adjourn, but tonight I'd like to adjourn it in memory of a longtime San Bruno resident, raised 10 children here, and is very, very active in the community, especially loved by the fire department because his son, Dan, was the fire chief. That would be John Boyer, and I request a moment of silence in his memory. Thank you very much. This meeting is adjourned.